I work as the local coordinator for an organisation called Sea Search, which comes under the auspices of the Marine Conservation Society. One of my jobs is to get divers recognising what they see underwater, and the James Eagan Layne is a very useful wreck from that point of view. It's a very pretty wreck. It's in shallow water, so we get nice long dive times down there, and it has loads and loads of life on it. It's absolutely brilliant. It's incredibly pretty with the lovely light from the surface coming down. And then it has different sides, very different sides. There's a much stronger current on one side, and so you get all the life that likes to live in the stronger currents. And then on the other side, it has quieter places where there's less current and a completely different sort of life. There's also a season to it. Because plankton settle out at certain times of the season and live their life on wrecks and reefs, we get different things settling out at different times of year. And so in the spring, the wreck will be covered in things like oaten pipe hydroid, which is a pretty little tubularia. And other things that feed on it follow that along. So when the tubularia settles out, then you get the nudibranchs arriving because they feed on it. Many people don't realise we have corals in this country, and the James Eagan Layne is no exception. It has Devonshire cup coral, which is a tiny little individual cup coral with a hard coral skeleton living on it. It also has soft corals called dead men's fingers. It also has the much rarer red fingers living on it. Another sort of coral that lives here are pink sea fans. These are very rare and are limited purely to the southwest of England. They're very fragile, they're very special, they're protected by law. In fact, they're one of our very few underwater animals that are fully protected. They also have little things that live on them themselves. There's a nudibranch that particularly lives on a sea fan anemone and mimics the polyps. The steep outer sides of the wreck are covered with sessile life, anemones, hydroids, sponges, sea squirts and bryozoans. There are always shoals of pelagic fish on the Eagan Layne. The first one you probably notice is bib. They're deep-bodied with a lovely stripe down them. And then there's pollock. Pollock tend to sit a little bit off the wreck and are probably a little bit more independent and not such big shoals. Occasionally we see a shoal of sea bass. They're beautiful fish, very, very shy and difficult to photograph. And then there's the territorial fish, the wrasse, ballan wrasse with their wonderful colours, the cuckoo wrasse with the male with his fantastic red and blue, tiny gold cinnies with the dark dot at the top of their tails, and rockcook, shoals rockcook. They clean the ballan wrasse. The John Dory is often seen around the wreck in the summer. They're just about towards the northern limit of their range here, and they've been seen in increasing numbers over the last couple of years, possibly something to do with the sea being slightly warmer. They're beautifully camouflaged, very hard to spot head-on when their flattened body almost disappears. But sideways on you can see the distinctive dark spot that legend tells us is the fingerprint of St. Peter. Divers would be really lucky to see squid. Squid is one of the cephalopod family, related to the cuttlefish, and it's usually out at night as it's a night feeder, hence its really big eye. But occasionally you can find them during the day. They change colour, but not in stripes like the cuttlefish. They change colour the whole of the body from sort of a steely grey, maybe through to a pink or even a mauve. Most divers are familiar with the fact that conger eels live in wrecks, and the James Eagan Layne is no exception. There's usually one or two around to be found. Their heads can be seen just poking out of the holes normally. They're rarely out free swimming except at night. Absolutely lovely. Loads of fish. Had a lovely John Dory. So it was really good.